Hey everyone, it's a beautiful September day, 2nd of September, gorgeous out, sunny, dry, not much humidity. I'm just enjoying the breeze and the butterflies and the birds and the bees. And I'm sitting outside on my deck to do a video response to Bee at Ikali Sunflower. And this is a VR called Circular Decks. And I've been trying to do this video for days now, and something just always seems to get in the way. And today I finally sat down to film this, and my neighbor started mowing their lawn with like 17 different kind of motors going, and I'm like, oh my goodness, am I ever going to be able to make this video? So anyway, hoping that I can get this in quickly before somebody else decides to mow their lawn. Anyway, I hope this finds you well. I'm Liz, it's West Star Tarot, and welcome to my channel. So there are several questions here. I don't have a lot of circular decks, but the first question is, what draws you to circular decks? And so I thought about this. My first deck was a circular deck. My first tarot deck, my first anything deck was a circular deck. And one of the reasons I was drawn to it is because it seemed less, I guess I'll say, patriarchal than some of the other tarot decks that were out at that time. This was in the 80s. And when I saw a circular deck that was also a feminist deck, it made my heart sing. But why I like circular decks, there's several reasons. One is because there's a story I heard about circles in general, so like sitting in circles, wise women, sisters, groups of women sitting in sacred space in circles together. And the tradition says that the reason women sat in circles was because we could see across the circle to our sister sitting across from us, and I had her back and she had my back. So when we sat in circles as opposed to lines, we could watch and we could be aware of protecting each other. And I could let her know across the circle if something was coming up on her, and she could let me know if something was coming up on me. So that's one thing that I like about circles, and therefore circular decks. The other thing is circular decks, I don't read reversals with rectangular decks. It seems so dualistic, and I feel like I get plenty enough meaning without reversals from the card itself and from the question and the spread and the cards that are also out on the table. So that's why I don't read reversals. But with circular decks, it's sort of a gradual gradation of meaning. To me, if it's upright, that's kind of, that's its meaning. If it's pointing to the right, that's sort of full steam ahead. You're really embracing or feeling the fullness of that card. If it's to the left, it's less so. It hasn't come fully into its upright position, so there's a little bit of weakness there. And then if it's facing downward, that would be the weakest point of the card in terms of its meaning. So that is what draws me to circular decks and why I like circular decks. The next question is challenges with round decks. Well, they're really, really hard to shuffle. Even if they're not huge, it just seems harder to shuffle a round thing than a rectangular or square thing. And so it's hard to riffle shuffle. You could do the old swirl-a-roo, and that's fine. And for me, it doesn't matter because I like to have read circular decks in all their gradations of meaning. So you can do that, but for me, riffle shuffling is just so satisfying. And so I would say for me, the biggest challenge with circular or round decks is that they can be difficult to shuffle. How many circular decks do I have? I have 6 currently. I have had a couple other ones, but I have passed them along, and I currently sit at 6. What is my most recent? So my most recent circular deck is this one, and this is actually the small version of the Gorgon's Tarot. And I had the large one that was, I mean, it was just gigantic. It was, it was so unwieldy. And it came in a nice box with a big guidebook and the, you know, the cards. And I loved the deck. I don't have it anymore because one weekend my daughter was hosting some friends at our house, and one of her friends who was spending the weekend and I were doing a tarot reading, and I was using the Gorgon's Tarot, and she fell in love with it. So I just gave it to her because I thought, you know what, you love it, here you go. And then a year or two after that, maybe several, I'm not sure, the Gorgon's Tarot was reissued in a smaller version, just the deck, wrapped in cellophane. No book, no box, no nothing. And I think it was like 10 or 12 bucks. So I thought, you know what? Oh well, I don't have the book, but it's kind of Rider-Waite-Smithy, so I don't really need the guidebook. This is a black and white book. I think there's, black and white deck. I think there's two cards that have red on them. These are just a few of the majors. Very shiny. It's Schiffer. It's the old Schiffer shininess. I really love this deck. I don't use it that much. This is probably a sign that I have more decks than I can use on a regular basis. But, oh well. I like it. I use it on occasion. So that is my most recent round deck. And the last question is to show our circular deck. So you just saw the Gorgon's Tarot, and I thought I would show next this one, the Motherpeace. This is my first deck. I've told the story many times on my channel about how I came across this deck, so I will not do that again, but this was my first deck. I got it while I was going to graduate school in Cambridge, Massachusetts, not England. And I found it in a metaphysical store, and it just blew me away. I had no idea that there could be, love this death card. I didn't know that there could be such a thing as this round, multicultural, feminist-based tarot. And when I saw it, I thought, oh, maybe I want to read tarot after all. So this is the Motherpeace. I don't read with it anymore. Since I got this deck in the early to mid 80s, I used, it was my only deck for many years, and I used it a lot. I used it in my women's circle, with friends, with family. I loved the deck a lot. But times change and sensibilities change, and I just am not as attracted to that deck as I once was. So, my second tarot deck is also a round deck, and it's this one, Daughters of the Moon. This is the first Daughters of the Moon tarot, which came out in black and white. Oh, I forgot to say, Motherpeace is Vicki Noble and Karen. Oh my gosh, I can't remember Karen's last name, the artist. I'm sorry, Karen. Oh well. Didn't think I need to look that one up. All right, here we go. This is the Daughters of the Moon, and it's very flat, and there's no lamination on it at all, unlike you can see the back is laminated and shiny. And Fiona Morgan, who was a wise woman, priestess, witch, women's spirituality leader, worked with a group of artists to develop this deck in the late 80s, and they decided to have it come out in black and white, and it's, like I said, it's no lamination, and the intention was that people could color in their own decks. And I always intended to do so, but was hesitant because I'm not very artistically gifted, and I was afraid I'd screw up the deck. So I kind of procrastinated. I just love this Ye Maya on the moon card, one of my favorite moon cards. So I didn't color it in. I just used it as is. And I'm quite glad that I didn't, because a few years later, they came out with this version, a full color version. And again, it's Fiona Morgan and a group of women's art collective who got together and created a color. Oh, you can see how shiny this is. Fiona Morgan, oh, you can see it in color. The Fiona Morgan recently passed away, I would say a year or so ago. And unfortunately, the printing of this deck seems to have died with her. So I don't think it is currently in print. I hope that someday it does come back in print again. This is absolutely one of my all-time favorite decks. And unlike the Motherpeace deck that didn't seem to age well or develop, or what do I want to say? Didn't seem to age and stay timely. For me, this deck really has. I never tire of this deck. I absolutely adore it. And again, it's another deck that I talk about a lot. I'm going to end here on one of my favorite cards. So, two of my decks are the same deck. Just one black and white and one in color. All right, the next one is a round deck, and it is not a giant round deck. It is not even a tarot deck. It's called the Tea Leaf Fortune Cards, and it's published by U.S. Games. It was created by Ray Hepburn and illustrated by Shauna Alexander. And it's a really fun deck. I got to use it more than I do. It's just a fun deck, and I think I should offer it as a reading to clients, because it can really be a lot of fun. So there's 182 cards with pictures and topics on them. So here we have casket, someone going out of your life, or the end of a situation. Axe, forces working against you. Rose, romance is in the air. Flute, disappointment in a friend or lover. Rooster, an arrogant, boastful person you should not cross. Ear, good news, and so forth. So you kind of get the feeling of the kinds of cards. And as I said, there's 182 of these sort of tea leaf fortune-telling type cards. We have the keyword, or we have the title, I guess, of the card, and then on each card there's a sentence about the meaning of the card. I don't really use the guidebook because that's enough for me, but this book has further, let me just look Rooster, because we looked at Rooster. Let's see what it says about Rooster. there are quite a few animals in here. So this is, as I said, an arrogant, boastful person you should not cross. A rooster crows in the first light of the morning, awakening the farmer, and let's face it, the whole neighborhood. The cock is puffed up with its own sense of importance. It preens its brightly colored feathers and crows again. This symbol indicates that you will have dealings with an arrogant, boastful person and advises you to play the diplomat and not cross this person, or you will regret it. So, I find just using the cards alone is fine without the guidebook, but if you want more information, you can get more. The guidebook's pretty good. It has an introduction, maybe 6 or 8 pages, just about the history of tea. And then another chapter on the history of tea leaf reading and fortune telling. And so that's pretty interesting. It has just endless amounts of spreads and ways to use the cards. So one of the, it has the prompt cards. I'm sorry, the cards themselves are red backs, and then these are like prompt cards, and they're green. So we have, if you want to do a reading about success, or happiness, or marriage, love, finances, career, there are those cards. And then there are 12 cards with the month of the year on them. So you can do like a yearly spread. And the interesting thing about that is Ray in the guidebook says, you don't have to start January 1st, whatever the month is right now, just start, well, we're in September. So we'll start in September and lay the cards out in a circle, and then shuffle the red cards and put one around each month, and then go around again and put a second one, a third one, and a fourth one. So you'll have 4 cards going across each, to read with each month. And these cards are read similarly to Lenormand cards. They are, again, fortune telling, divination, predictions, and you can read them in, short sentences as you go across the month. How I have tended to use them is I'll deal out 7. So I'll say, what's in store for me in the upcoming week, and I'll lay out 7 cards and I'll turn them over and I'll look at, okay, here's what today looks like, tomorrow, and so forth and so on. And sometimes I will see a theme, or I will try to string them together, sometimes not. But anyway, they're really a lot of fun, and it's something different. I don't know of any other decks that are like that. And it comes with a little, actually, a rather big pouch. So you can, put the cards in here and shake them around, and then, pull them out blindly that way. I tend to do the old, swisheroo and just pull the cards out that way, but whatever floats your boat. So, last but not least is this little guy. This is a round deck that I made myself. Well, I didn't make it. I just cut it out from the Albano weight deck. So I got a 2-inch circular punch, and I made a round deck out of the Albano weight. This was not a vintage one. This was a modern day one that I just bought online. So I like round decks, as I mentioned, and I wanted a small portable one because a lot of these round decks seem to be really large, and so I wanted one that was a bit more easy to transport. And the thing about making a small deck out of a bigger deck is you have to decide what you're going to leave in and what you're going to cut out. And it's really interesting. I'm sure that we can agree on what we would leave in and leave out in some cases, but not in all cases, you know. Some cards, it's like, ooh, I think there's two important images or more than one important image in this. Well, here's a good example. Like, so we can't see the 5 cups. So it was either chop the dude's head off and have the 5 cups, or leave the figure in but cut the cups out. But you know, I know what's there. So for me, I decided to not chop the guy's head off. So I love having this little deck. I really enjoy using it. It was fun to make, and I say go for it. Get yourself a 2-inch hole punch, and you could take any mass market deck and make yourself a round deck. So anyway, to summarize, I am a round deck fan. I love round decks. I get why some people think that they can be challenging, especially if you want to do a big spread, but that's why I made this little guy. Anyway, I wanted to say thank you to B for creating this spread, and I hope, B, you notice I didn't have the regular sunflowers, but this is the teddy bear sunflowers, and I put those there for you. So blessings, everyone. I hope the rest of your summer is delightful, and may the cards be with you.